16-year-old King Baldwin, dying from leprosy disease, led an army to go against one of the greatest generals of all time. While in agonizing pain, he led his army to defend his people and also try to keep the peace between the Muslims and Christians. This is the story of the Leper King. In the year 1161, Jerusalem, also known as the Holy Lands, only a child, Baldwin seemed destined for greatness. But tragedy struck when Baldwin's tutor saw that he couldn't feel pain in his left arm. But only at the age of 13, after he was crowned king, did they diagnose him with leprosy disease. While on the other side in Damascus, Saladin was preparing an army, conquering city by city. Next, his eyes were set on the final stretch, Jerusalem. While in Jerusalem, Baldwin's condition worsened. This was around the time the disease started disfiguring his body and his face. However, unlike the Hollywood depiction, Baldwin never wore a mask to hide his leprosy, even meeting people in public without covering his face. Even though he was in great pain, it was time to meet his greatest foe. Their first face-off was in the Battle of 1177. Baldwin was completely outnumbered. He had charge of about 500 knights, while Saladin had an army of around 20,000 people. Even with all the stats against him and his very fragile body, Baldwin pulled off something genius. You see, as Saladin marched to Jerusalem, he knew that the Crusaders' army was massively outnumbered. And because of this massive advantage, Saladin was very confident. And this made sense because the Crusaders were outnumbered 10-1. This overconfidence would turn out to be a massive mistake, however, because Baldwin's genius plan was a surprise attack. Right when Saladin's formation looked a bit off, Baldwin launched his surprise attack. He launched an aggressive charge straight into the heart of Saladin's army. Historians record that only 10% of Saladin's army actually survived the battle. Saladin himself narrowly escaped being captured, resulting in Saladin retreating back to Egypt. The retreat was horrific for Saladin. Having lost most of his men, his life was in great danger. After the great loss, Saladin vowed to never make a mistake like this again. The 16-year-old King Baldwin, on the other hand, returned to Jerusalem victorious. This win against Saladin was no short of a miracle for the people of Jerusalem. This rivalry was not even close to being finished yet. Saladin would rebuild his army and meet Baldwin multiple times in military campaigns over the years. Though Baldwin was victorious against Saladin, he still hadn't beat his leprosy. The leprosy steadily worsened, causing Baldwin to go blind. He was also no longer able to use his arms and legs. Because of Baldwin's condition, the peace did not last very long. When nobles found out that Baldwin was basically living his last days, a power struggle broke out between them for the throne. This caused major chaos in the realm. And so just at the age of 24, King Baldwin passed away. His face was completely unrecognizable because of how disfigured it was. The death of Baldwin was the downfall of the Christian rule on Jerusalem. The next appointed king after Baldwin was his own brother-in-law. His name was Guy de Louison. And so Guy led the Crusaders into the Battle of Hattin, where Saladin completely outsmarted the Crusaders and wiped out 75% of the Christian army. Guy was captured by Saladin's forces. Saladin, however, did not execute him and allowed him to live. This was the greatest victory for Saladin because it allowed him to finally enter Jerusalem, which marked the beginning of the Muslims' rule. Even though Baldwin and Saladin fought many battles against each other and also were bitter rivals, they still had great respect for each other.